When I first bought this property in 2019, it was a quarter-acre of land that was covered entirely with grass, whose only purpose seems to be perpetuating the weekly ritual of mowing it down. In 2022, Ginger and I met and married, and Ginger began to develop some plans for the place. At first, that was just a couple of small beds at the back of the property, designed to start producing some of our own food. That, as you'll see, has transformed and transitioned into occupying most of a quarter acre. We have some alpine strawberries there. We started tomatoes at the back of the property and found out that they like the front better. One of the things about it is that even though Ginger brings decades of experience to farming, every plot of land is different. And you got to find out where things like to grow. Now, our tomatoes, as you will see, really enjoy being up near the front here and the good soil that's here. We have, I think, 4 different varieties of tomatoes, and we're trying to decide which ones really work best. This area mimics in a small way a wooded area. We've got some white pine here, and we've established a stone circle in an area that we're going to let go just a little bit wild. We've got some different plants and herbs back here. We've got more strawberries here, with a little bit of interplanting of crops that are going to grow at different rates, and we'll be able to harvest them at different times. The bed that we have right here started out as just a large frame area where we piled on compost for months and months and months, and just allowed it to slowly decay and to compost into good soil. And then we planted a cover crop of pumpkins on it to help break down that soil. Now we have a couple of fig trees in the corners. We've got a volunteer tomato plant. We've got some horseradish at the back, and a number of other things that are growing in this area. One of our goals is to try and have crops that are all season. So we have different strawberries that are going to come on early. We've got some that will come on throughout the course of the season. We've done the same thing with our raspberries. This pond was set in place about 2 years ago to solve a problem of some water drainage that was just sitting on the ground and making it boggy and unusable. And for about 2 years, we had just the pond and water, but nothing would grow there. And it took nature a little bit of time to get the pond settled in properly to where it's the healthy and thriving environment that you see right now. This past summer, at the beginning of the summer, we heard frogs in the area, and we've seen frogs and toads. And about 2 or 3 days ago, we were looking in the pond and we found that there's hundreds of tadpoles swimming around. We also have a few goldfish in there and a thriving colony of snails. And it's just been amazing to go and see how nature, left to itself, will take something like this and make it into a balanced ecosystem. We recently set up the grape trellises here so that we could have different varieties of grapes growing. I think we've got 3 or 4 different varieties here, including a wild one. And this is kind of a passageway in, back towards our stone circle. We've got a very substantial stand of Jerusalem artichoke, and that seems to really like it where it's at. And so we're going to take out some of the other plants that are there and relocate them and let the Jerusalem artichoke take over. We found that it's an acceptable potato supplement or replacement for in the winter months, where we can freeze it and reuse it in the winter. In my opinion, no garden or no farm is complete until you have a high tunnel in which you can start growing things early. And we just put this high tunnel up yesterday. So we're looking forward to getting that going and operational. This garden bed right here has somewhat inadvertently become our tea herb garden. We've got a number of different things here, including an apothecary rose right here. We've got bergamot at the back. Then along the border and throughout, we've got scattered thyme here to let that just take over and fill in as a ground cover. We found it necessary to go and divert some water away from the property, so we set up a little runoff stream here. And we got a marshmallow plant that loves water, so it's also helping to drain that soil properly. We have chickens and rabbits here. Here's a couple of our girls. These are some of the newest ones. That's an amber link on the left and a barred rock on the right. We have 3 amber links and 2 barred rocks, and we call them the 5 musketeers because they go everywhere together. This property has been one of transition and adjustments and learning and changing and deciding what wants to go where and what we can do at any kind of significant quantities, because part of our purpose is to provide food for ourselves, but part of our purpose is to provide herbs that we can sell at market. So we're going through that transition of just trying to figure out where everything fits. You can't see them really well right now, but we've got some of our silkies here. And they recently moved into this space as we adapted a section of the barn and turned it into housing for them. And here's our rabbit warren that we've dug down properly and secured so that they can dig freely but not get out. Naturally, of course, they're out of sight for right now. It has been a learning experience for us, and we've tried different things. We've tried some interplanting of crops to see what will help out. We've gone back to some ancient practices, some older practices of creating mounds and swales to help with irrigation and water retention. We plant thyme around the borders because thyme is an excellent bug repellent. We do the same thing with some of the borage that we have here, is the idea of repelling pests. In these couple of beds, we've established one type of parsley that we're going to be growing here, and then in the other set of beds it's going to be cover crop for this year, and then next year we'll plant parsley there for the second part of its growing season. We've got a thriving elderberry plant going. We've got a boysenberry that is taking off. And just several other types of raspberries. Again, with the idea that we're going to have raspberries from early spring to late fall. We'll go down the raspberry corridor here. And back into our stone circle, kind of our sacred space, where we've got an aronia berry. We've got some white mulberry growing back here, and a number of other plants. Some white sage. One of the things that's been guiding a lot of our decisions is going back to the understanding and the concept of allowing nature to do what nature does. Learning what works together, learning what things will take care of some of the needs that contemporary farmers and gardeners use pesticides and herbicides for. And that's a tour of the space. It is a space in development, although we're pretty certain we get a lot of traffic here from heavy vehicles. Although the shape that it's in right now is pretty much what it's going to be like for the most part. We know that there's going to continue to be transition and growth because there always is.